So good afternoon. Thank you all for coming out to hear about the Middle States accreditation process. I'm Charlie Robbins, Vice Provost and one of the co-chairs of the Middle States team. To my left, your right, is Lauren Tacke-Cushing, who is our Middle States coordinator, and next to her is my co-chair, Dan Davis, chair of the Geosciences department. And we really, as I said, do thank you for joining us this afternoon. By way of background, before we get into the presentation, all post-secondary institutions are accredited, and the country is divided in terms of geographical regions, in terms of which accrediting body you report to. So just by virtue of our being located in New York, we report to the Middle States Commission on Higher Education. And so it's their standards, their 14 standards, that we have to show that we are in compliance with, or hopefully actually surpass the expectations. So all institutions go through this on a periodic basis, and we'll talk a little bit about that. Our goal is to go through the slides rather quickly and then have plenty of opportunity for discussion with you. And this is one of several meetings that we'll be having to really have the opportunity for the campus to be brought up to date on what we're doing. So as I said, there are 14 characteristics of excellence that the Middle States Commission expects us to show that we are at least in compliance with, or hopefully surpass. And so we have been working, and I'm going to go through the timetable in a minute, but we have been working diligently to really put together a document that demonstrates both what the Stony Brook story is and how exceptional a place Stony Brook is, but also how we are in compliance with all of these standards. So some of the key standards, and these are just exemplars to give you an idea of what we're talking about. Standard 11 is our educational offering, so we're very strong in that area. That's something that we're very comfortable with. It has to do with all of our degree programs, all of our certificate programs, everything that we offer students, both here and at any of our other sites. And we're pretty comfortable that we're going to do just fine on that and presenting that. Standard 12 is general education, and we really have a great opportunity there because, as I hope most of you know, we're in the process of transitioning to a new general education program. So we're starting the Stony Brook curriculum in the fall of 2014 for all new full-time, first-time students. And so we will be able to demonstrate to the commission all of the work that went into coming up with the new standards. And what's exciting with the new curriculum, and what's exciting about the new curriculum, is that it is totally based on learning outcomes. So we believe the commission will really like that, because they're very interested in learning outcomes and assessment, and the whole Stony Brook curriculum is built on that. The one thing that we won't have is a track record to show how, in fact, the new curriculum has worked. So we will need to, in all probability, submit a follow-up report to the commission indicating when we have some period of history to show how the data is coming in terms of the learning outcomes for the new curriculum. The standards that are within the region, not nationally, but within the Middle States region, that are most often cited as having problems are Standard 2, which is planning, resource allocation, and institutional renewal. So being able to prove that, in fact, your resources, your funding, your faculty, your staff appointments are all in line with your stated goals of the institution, your mission and values of the institution, and seeing that they're all aligned. Standard 7, which is institutional assessment, And this is increasingly important, but increasingly difficult for literally every university in really ensuring that, in fact, we're doing what we say we're doing and that we're doing it well. And then finally, Standard 14, which is the assessment of student learning. And as you can see, these are in bigger and bigger type as we get more and more nervous about them. So we are in the process of establishing an Office of Academic Assessment. We've had the Provost established a task force on academic assessment about a year ago that has been working diligently in collecting learning outcomes for every program on campus. And so we will have that available for the commission when they come in. So I think that will put us, that combined with the Stony Brook curriculum's learning outcomes, I think will put us in a decent place in terms of that. But we are aware that these are the areas that are most frequently cited as problematic. And we are going into this understanding that the vast majority of institutions now have some follow-up reports that they need to do. So it's very rare that the team leaves here and says, everything is awesome. Congratulations. So while the visit and the report in April is certainly something we're looking forward to, we know that we're not done at that point. We know that this will continue on. But we're feeling very optimistic about where we are and the preparation that's gone on. So we've been working on this since the early part of 2011. So this is really a 3-year process that we've undertaken. And the first thing we did was to decide to do a comprehensive self-study. What that means is that every part, every aspect of the university enterprise is fair game. So everything that we're engaged in, everything that we do, again, whether on this campus or Southampton or Manhattan or Korea or any of our study abroad programs or any of our online programs are all covered under the Middle States standards, and they have the right to ask about any of them. And what we've tried to do in the self-study is to really do as much of a cross-section of all of them as we can. This is the first comprehensive review that we as a university have engaged in 20 years. So that's a long time, and a lot has changed since the last review. And again, we needed to really be prepared to explain the path that we've taken, where we've come, what the Stony Brook story is. And the other thing that has changed is that accreditation has become a much more serious endeavor. So it is much more rigorous than it ever was before. There's a lot of pressure from the public, from the government, in terms of the quality of education, in terms of the value of education. And that pressure has been applied to the accrediting agency, and they therefore in turn, because we know which way it always flows, they therefore in turn have been applying it to the schools. So we made the decision to do the comprehensive study. The Provost in fall of 2011 appointed the steering committee that really created a design plan, a self-study design plan, which is the blueprint for how we were going to go about doing the study. And that was presented to the president. That was then submitted to Middle States to get their approval that this design plan was acceptable to them. During that period, we did over 90 presentations on campus. Any group that would have us got to hear about Middle States. And because we really want this to be as open and inclusive a process as we possibly can. We did receive approval from Middle States in May of 2012. They visited campus at that point. They reviewed our design plan. They met with the steering committee, and they gave us the green light to go ahead. So we were off and running it at that point. We created a series of working groups to deal with all 14 standards They were made up of over 85 staff, administrators, and faculty and students. And they went about their work. And so for the whole fall semester and much of the spring semester, 2013, the working groups really collected data, they built their report, they came up with their responses to all 14 standards. And then starting in the summer of 2013, the Middle States team, which are the three of us, took all of those documents and tried to merge them into one document, into one report with one voice that, as I said, would really tell the Stony Brook story, at the same time acknowledge what our weaknesses are. So we want to portray what our strengths are, but acknowledge the areas that we have to grow in, because everybody has them, they know that, and I think they expect to see that. So we completed a first draft by this past fall. That was sent to the provost and the president for their review. They had some suggestions, and we continue to work with them on that. We shared the report with all of the both senior vice presidents and vice presidents to give them a chance to comment on it, to have some say in what gets contained in the report and their how they were portrayed in the report. And then once that was all completed, we shared the report with the chair of our evaluation team, the person who will be chairing our visit in March, who's Dr. Kerwin, who's the chancellor of the University of Maryland. And we shared the report with him. He came here on December 16th and spent 2 days with us, and essentially said that the report was in good shape. He made some suggestions. We still had some work to do, but he cleared the way for the team visit to take place and really move the bar forward. So in January, we made the changes that Dr. Kerwin and others suggested. In January, we posted the report on the website, so anyone with a Stony Brook Net ID had access to it and could comment on it, and many people did comment on it. And most of them were actually positive, which we were very pleased about. We did get a lot of suggestions and things that we left out, things that were misstated, and we went back in, and particularly Lauren did this, but we went back in and made all of those corrections and updates and really made sure that the information that was in there was actually correct. We continued editing the report, working with senior leadership and particularly the leadership of the provost and his senior leadership team. And just this past Friday, literally on February 14th, I don't think it had anything to do with Valentine's Day, but we met the deadline of getting the report to the team by 6 weeks ahead of time, and so it was delivered electronically to every team member on Friday afternoon. And I won't tell you how late in the afternoon, but by the end of the day Friday, it was delivered to every team member, and a hard copy was delivered to every team member by Tuesday. Just this yesterday, by 10 a.m. on Tuesday, they all received it. So we believe that we're in good shape at this point. We're gearing up for the team meeting, which begins on March 30th through April 2nd, and you're going to hear now a little bit more about that and what your involvement is as well as what the team's involvement is. So Dan will pick up at this point.
This lovely body of words is really just the ice above the waterline. The vast bulk of what is in the result, of what is in the report, and the result of the work of working groups and people across campus is found electronically, not on paper. So we have the paper document, but if you look at a typical page, it's just absolutely full of links. Every time you make a declarative statement, you really have to back it up because they want evidence. So that's the first key aspect of this document. It's a very long document, longer than we wanted it to be.
But shorter than it started out.
A lot shorter than it started out, and we're glad to say shorter than a couple of other universities as well. So we feel we have some cover on that, even though we're above the page target. Now, we're trying to do this in a very third millennium kind of way. Yes, the members of the team were sent the paper document. They were also sent an electronic version with all those links. But there's also a wiki that they can sign on to. In fact, when they arrive, they'll be given little iPads with everything pre-mounted on there. That wiki, which was put together by Glenn Hackett, looks a bit like this. If someone is looking at Standard 11 with educational offerings, they can go in and see the text with all of the links. But there are also, in that case, 60-something separate supporting documents that are part of the evidence room. They want an evidence room, and traditionally that's been just a room with lots and lots of pieces of paper put together in various paper documents, and we'll have that. But we also have things available electronically because that's really where things are in the third millennium. So in the next 6 weeks, between now and the visit, what's going on? Well, we're continuing to plan for the visit, and this planning involves obvious things, like where will they stay, where will they meet? But it also involves slightly less obvious things, like getting them cards so that as they wander around campus, if they see a bunch of undergrads, they can say, hey, I'd like to talk to you, can I bribe you with pizza? And go into SAC and sit down and feed them and just talk to them. Logistics in terms of having people available to show them around and so on. At the same time, we need to complete the electronic and physical data rooms. That wiki is still a work in progress, and the physical equivalent is still a work in progress. We need to finalize all sorts of logistics, including things like making sure that there's sufficient bandwidth in places they'll be working, and so on. We're also trying to increase awareness on campus. This event is one part of that, trying to increase awareness on campus of the visit and what it means. Finally, March 30th to April 2nd, the team will visit. Now, who is the team? For most colleges, the team is a lot smaller than this, but we're a complex institution. So we're just about the biggest size that anybody's going to have. We all think that we're very fortunate in the choice of the head of the team. Dr. Kerwin has a huge amount of experience. He understands not only how universities work, but how university systems work. And that's one of the complicated aspects for Stony Brook, that we don't stand alone. Being within the SUNY system, things are a little more complicated for us. He will understand that. We have a mix of people, very accomplished people. If you look at the mix, you'll see that it is in keeping with what Middle States is looking for, fairly heavy on people who are interested in things like assessment, who are interested in the things that are key to the Middle States 14 standards. So in planning for the visit, we've recognized that the team is going to be divided by Middle States standard. Everyone will be reading the entire document, but they'll be concentrating on various aspects, various subsets of what they've come here to evaluate, specific sets of standards. So in designing the visit, we've tried to make sure that we give the team and team members as a group and individually time to meet with all key groups on campus. Wanted to allow them the flexibility, a certain amount of time flexibility, so that they have an opportunity to say that they want to see anything or anyone on campus. After their initial meetings, their curiosity may be piqued on some subject. We want them to be able to just say, I want to go and see that or talk to those people. We also want to make sure that it's not limited to people who are members of identified groups. So therefore, we need to work into the schedule an opportunity for anybody who wants to come and talk to the team members. And finally, we need to allow them some private time to work up their report and find all sorts of nice things to say about us. For details on the visit, we'll turn to Lauren.
One of the goals in developing the schedule is that although 3 days sounds like a long time, or at least it'll feel like a long time for us, when the visitors are here, they have a very limited amount of time to go through a lot of information and to verify everything that we've stated in our Middle States Self-Study Report. So part of the scheduling is being able to bring a lot of different people from a lot of different areas together and make sure that the team, who, as Dan described, are broken out by different standards, can then do their work simultaneously. So one of the way that we decided to do this was by offering concurrent sessions, so that we have at all times 3 sessions going on, and you can see by standard, we indicate by standard, and then some of the individuals who will be invited to meetings. And I apologize for those of you who see your name on there. You are getting an invitation, but we haven't gotten them all out yet. So we are identifying those individuals who will be meeting to represent those standards, to talk about the things that are in the report and to answer any questions that the team members might have. In addition, as Dan said, this involves everybody in the campus community. So we made a concerted effort to provide forums. We have a forum on Monday for the campus open forum, so everyone's invited to that forum. And then we also have an undergraduate student forum in the afternoon at 3 o'clock. And on Tuesday, we also will have a graduate student forum, which I'll get to in a second. But you can see by the nice color coding that the schedule really contains the blocks of meetings that are addressing the standards. The circles include the references to the forums, and the green box, that is added in to give the team members an opportunity to go off and see other parts of the campus, to be able to say, you know, I'd really like a little more information on the College of Arts and Sciences. Can I take a walk over there? We're going to have student ambassadors available so that they're able to escort the team members across campus to any location that they want to. But again, it gives them some flexibility so that even though their time is very scheduled, those who are available can get an opportunity to just walk around and talk to people and get a sense of the campus life here. So Tuesday is very much the same. It's another packed day with a lot of meetings, and the graduate student forum takes place in the afternoon. We've also made sure they're going to be fed well, because I think that's very important, that while they're here, they're doing us a favor. They're really here as volunteers who are our peers, and so we want to make sure that their needs are met while they're on campus. Finally, their last day here will be Wednesday, and there are no meetings that day. They're spending most of the time writing their report. Before they leave campus, they have to finish their written report. And in the afternoon, Dr. Kerwin, the chair, will present that in an oral form to the president. And in that report, he will actually state any commendations for anything that he feels we should be commended on, and any areas of weakness or improvement, any recommendations that the team had. At that point, he'll leave campus, and then we will have an opportunity to review the report and respond to the report in case there are any factual errors. But in actuality, it's not until June, when the Middle States Commission reviews the report, our response to the report, that they make a decision on the action, whether we have full reaccreditation or whether we have any follow-up reporting. And finally, we are going to be posting at our Middle States website the final self-study report. So please, in the next 48 hours, give me 48 hours, but I will get it posted up there. And you'll have access to all the links, so they should be open. So as Dan showed you, the report, the narrative is just a small piece of it. There are so many links, so please feel free to take a look at the documents that are on the wiki.
So with that, again, we'll thank you all for being here and really open it up if there are any questions or comments or concerns or any other information about Middle States that people want to know about. Is that clear? Yes.
I was on these middle state preparation things a couple of middle states ago, and in fact, I was on 2 in a row when they came back with sort of 5-year follow-up visit. And I remember they got very testy when we had not followed up on some of their strong suggestions. So I'm wondering, I assume people have looked back at the last middle states, what our weaknesses were, and we fixed all those, or?
We've made progress. So the last visit was a focused visit. So the last self-study focused on the issue of undergraduate education, because in the 10 years prior to that, we were cited for some issues around undergraduate education. So we have worked with both the initial report 20 years ago and also the one from 10 years ago, and as well as the 5-year periodic review, to ensure that we can show how we built upon all of those issues. We also were very cognizant of the fact that we have to do recommendations for each of the 14 standards, and we're very aware of the fact that in 5 years, they're going, at least 5 years, it could be sooner than that, they're going to return to campus and want to see that we've taken all of the actions that we've said. So all of the recommendations are in fact things that we believe will really strengthen our program and move us forward. So we've built upon where we've been. We believe we've made a roadmap going forward. And the other thing that we've had to do, and I hope most of you are aware of this, that there's also the President's Strategic Plan that was issued fairly recently, as well as the Provost Academic Strategic Plan. And so you can see when you look at the self-study in the last chapter, there's a crosswalk to show how all of the 14 standards are linked to the mission statements and goals in the President's Plan, and are then linked to the plan from the Office of the Provost in terms of the pillars in the academic strategic plan, so that we can show consistency all across, because what they're looking for is where there is inconsistency, and so, I mean, your point is very well taken. So we started where we were and where Middle States thought we were, and then built upon that going forward. Other
Over there.
Hi, I'm Jen from the School of Journalism. I just wondered on those Monday and Tuesdays, should we be prepared as an academic department for them to be wandering up? Is there anything that we should do to prepare our staff as well as our students?
Absolutely. The truth is that they have the right to go anywhere at any time during the visit and literally speak to anyone. So that's why it's really important that we get the word out and people are aware of it. So as Lauren said, we have built into every single block across the 2 days time for them to be able to go visit whatever it is they want to visit, and we'll have the mechanism to get them there. So it's important that everybody is aware of this. So they may visit schools, they may visit different colleges, they may visit departments, but they certainly will be walking around campus. And the vice president of Middle States, when he came to meet with us about the design plan, told us that where he sets the bar, and well, I won't even say what I think of it, but where he sets the bar is that they want to be able to stop anyone on campus, whether on this side of campus, on East Campus, anywhere, and ask them where we are in the Middle States process and get a cogent answer about the self-study and where we are. That's a very high task. And so, we're aiming at that. We've got 6 weeks to do that. Actually, we've really been doing that for 3 years. So, we've literally done hundreds of presentations at this point. But if we walked across the mall now, half the people we stop will not know what Middle States is. And so we know that. So we are really counting on you to be ambassadors and let people know about Middle States. It's going to be on the website. They're going to get more emails from the team talking about it. There'll be more of these kinds of sessions, as well as any, in the way, Jen, that I presented to the faculty in journalism. We're available to do that again for faculty, staff, and student groups. We have meetings coming up with both undergraduate and graduate student government to bring everybody up to speed as much as we possibly can. But those 2 days, people should have their antennas up, because it's very likely, and we can't predict where. We have no idea where, because that would be too easy. So we have to wait and see where they're going to want to visit and who they're going to want to speak to.
Can I just add, as chair of an academic department, I take your question very seriously, because frankly, I wouldn't want to be blindsided by people just appearing without any kind of warning. So I think that adds to the importance of the things we're planning on doing in the coming weeks, to give people a heads up as to what the likely time frames are and the sorts of people who might be coming, and also try to come up with some mechanism so that you can be given at least some short-term notice of what's happening.
So I'm not really worried about our faculty, because this is kind of on every place, but like for example, school journalism every Monday sends a note out to every student taking a journalism class. Is there any kind of text that we could add that? To say on Mondays, heads up, Middle States is coming, get excited. But you know what I mean? That's not the best way to communicate.
No,
we're happy to add that.
We absolutely can get you that text. It was included in the Welcome Back newsletter that every student on campus got. But we know that's not enough, but we will get you the appropriate text that you can do that with.
That's a great idea.
Are they going to be addressing any of the distance education students and still in
They may. One of the people on the team is specifically dealing with distance and online education, and that's their background. And again, how they're going to do that, we don't know. But they will be doing that. As a matter of fact, they're going. One of the team members next week is one of the Middle States team members next week is actually going to visit Florence University of the Arts, because that's the center that has the largest number of Stony Brook students studying abroad. So they're really looking at everything. So in terms of distance students or online students, they may very well want to reach out to some.
Okay, and that newsletter, if I could just ask, the Welcome Back, is that posted somewhere?
I don't know.
Across campus, for example, upper division.
I'm looking at.
Welcome Back.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
don't believe it's posted anywhere. How you do? We can make a PDF available and I can distribute it. Yeah.
That would be
Okay,
great.
great, thanks.
That would be great.
Good idea.
Well, speaking as a student, I honestly had no idea this was even happening until a few hours ago. So is there any steps you're going to be taking in the next few weeks to actually reach out to the mass of students? Because I know if a random person kind of just approaches a student in the middle of a school day when we're studying for midterms, our answer is going to be a little skewed about our views about Stony Brook.
That's very polite. We did. It's very difficult, and we have met with both the undergraduate and graduate student governments that they have been represented on the steering committee as well as the task forces. But getting that word out to everybody, if there are ways that we can do that, we've sent out emails, we've posted things online. But if you or others have suggestions about how we can do that, because it's really important during the next 6 weeks that people know about this.
You might want to use
Mm-hmm.
I think usually the students pay some attention to.
Right.
But we send out.
That's a good point.
And the student media groups, have you met them?
Not specifically, right?
No, no.
That'd be very good.
Good idea, thank you.
States and media.
Well, I'm here, I think with our statesman, we have a reporter here as well. So we'll come speak to you after.
Absolutely,
Great.
please.
Is it like your role that they'll visit classes in session?
I believe that I mean, they've talked about that, so I think they might walk into the back of a lecture hall or the back of a classroom just to see what's going on. They will not, as far as I know, they will not interrupt a class in any way. But they very well, although obviously their presence is disruptive, but I mean, I believe that's absolutely fair game.
I think it's important to note that on the schedule, although we have concurrent sessions, the members, not all members of their group, not all 11 of them, will be within one of those 3 sessions at any given time. So at any given time, about half of them are probably free to wander and create havoc anywhere on campus. So that's the sort of thing that I am certain some of them will want to do in their free time. It just, we're not in a position to control where they go. We just want to facilitate.
But particularly, I mean, we talk about in the report for, specifically something like Fry Hall and talk about the new facilities there. And so I would not be surprised if somebody on the team wants to go see it. Because as Lauren alluded, a big piece of their visit here is to really just to show that what we have in here and all the links are real, that this isn't a work of fiction. So they're going to want to check the things the statements that we've made, the things that we've asserted, including the new classroom building and things like that.
Is there any initiative with alumni? Or did I miss that? Being specified carve out.
That was not one of the groups.
No.
No.
But we could reach out to them.
I think the alumni invited at the last town hall meeting where the Middle States team gives their report, and that's where the alumni, it's the appropriate place for them to listen and ask questions, not just listen, but ask questions.
Any other comments or questions or ideas that can help us get the word out?
Is there anything you'd like us to showcase?
The truth is that we really want to, again, demonstrate the Stony Brook story, and to really put forth who we are and what drives us. And it's a very complex story because it's undergraduate, it's graduate, it's professional education, it's continuing education. So it's hard to say this is what we want put forward, but we really want to showcase what we're good at, that in fact we are an incredibly diverse campus, that we embrace diversity, that in all of its forms, that in fact we are very successful at educating our students, again, at all levels. So, I mean, these are the messages, the new wall of honor in the library for all of the prestigious awards. I mean, that's something that again, we wrote about in the self-study, but would be, I think, really worthwhile for them to see. And again, just the different groups and entities and all the fine work that's going on to really make Stony Brook the place that it is. And as I said before, our hope is that this is a living document, that this becomes the blueprint for the university going forward, combined with the President's strategic plan and the Provost's academic strategic plan. So we really want to build. This is not the end of the process. In many ways, it's the beginning of the process to really direct where Stony Brook goes and the kinds of things that we're able to accomplish. Because I think we really are at an amazing plateau and ready to go up to the next level.
And my experience, I've come I came into this somewhat from the outside, like most people in most departments. I've spent my career here interested in my own area. If it's didn't have to do with geophysics and so on, it really wasn't so much within my vision. This whole experience has been really eye-opening for me. I honestly, when we started this process, I did not realize how great we are. And as I look through the document, I see almost a challenge to anyone reading it to name a university as young as we are, as great as we are. And I think, yes, all of these things looking forward, it's true, we do want this to be a living document that helps guide where we are, but I see just a smidgen of glorying in what we are in this, because frankly, I did not realize quite what an extraordinary institution this is until all of the work of the last couple of years that went into this document.
And we didn't pay him to say that. Any other questions or comments? Well, again, thank you for attending. If anything occurs to you, please feel free to contact any of us. Call us, email us, and just please help us get the word out about Middle States.
And any suggestions for the next 5 to 6 weeks in spreading the word, we are really very open to that. Would appreciate anything.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I told Glenn he had to clap. I told Glenn he had to clap.